What's up, guys?
Yeah, where you been, bro? Grinding?
Traveling. Yeah, work travel, a little bit of family travel, all mixed in together. So,
Yeah, we keep missing each other,
yep.
but we need to make a rendezvous happen. So hopefully we can do something. Maybe even do like a live pod together. Whoa, that's aggressive. That might be too much.
One day.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Manny, because you have some big personal news for you, right?
Yeah, I quit my job, bro. I quit my 9 to 5. My dad entrepreneurship has taken the full amount of my time now. It's been a long time coming. I was debating for a while, like, yo, all right, I got to give more energy to FlyDad and to even fatherhoods. Just some of the things that we've been talking about, scaling the brand and what we do. And then I was like, all right, how do I do this? How do I make this work? And it was a lot of thinking, a lot of self exploration. You know, as you can imagine, like it could be a scary thing. And lucky for me, the biggest headache in me making a decision like this could have been my wife, right? Like, and not like an illogical thing from her perspective. But I guess, have proven myself enough in her eyes to be able to take certain risks and be certain that we're going to be all right come hell or high water. And so, you know, I got a couple little savings. I got some real estate stuff going. I got the FlyDad thing going, which to this day I still haven't taken any salary from because we're reinvesting everything in that brand. But we're in a situation now where
Yeah, I was
we're
going
in
to
a
ask you if I could
situation
borrow
now where soon come my youth. But yeah, so all of that was cool, whatever. Made the decision. My former employer was super gracious. Like they were sad to see me go, but really excited for me to venture off down this path. Getting a lot of love from a lot of people, but ultimately, like the decision was part following my entrepreneurial spirit. The other part was being more present with my kids. So I had to reclaim my time.
Well, let me ask you this:
Yeah,
when you were working
yeah.
the full time gig, did you find yourself kind of mentally frustrated in terms of like actually feeling like fuck, I'm not spending enough time with my kids, or feeling like you were trying to balance and juggle to make sure that you had what you thought was enough time, or did they express anything to you like, you know, Dad, we don't see you enough?
Yeah, it's. I would have moments where they would say that. Um,
That's
they
gotta be
understand.
rough.
Yeah, it sucks, but they understand it too. But at the same time, they're like, "Yo, fuck," like, you know, and then they wander off and find something else to do. They fill that time with something else. But the truth is, like, I had the most flexibility I've ever had in a job at this job, right? And so I was able to do things that, under normal circumstances, most employers wouldn't even,
Right.
consider. What's different now is like I could pick segments of time to do whatever I want whenever I want, right? And so that's dangerous because I could elect to not do shit all day. I mean, for a period of time, and then shit hits the fan. So I got to be very calculated. But today, as an example, my son wants to play video games with me, and I'm like, all right. After we record, I'm gonna go play video games with him, which is kind of like the middle of the day today, and that's not normal for me. I can't do that typically because there's a call or something that I got to be on. So yeah, I'm gonna pay for it later in the day to make up for some of the time I need to from a proactivity perspective. But it's worth it, and it meets his expectation, and we get to bond and all that kind of stuff instead of them being on the freaking device all day.
No, you're certainly on the roller coaster. But look, I've only got one child, right? But like, I mean, you remember that first year totally kicked my ass because I just had no idea just how, like, especially if you don't have family around or whatever, just how kind of demanding it is, and just the change of pace and change of mind and everything. And then you start to get used to it, right? But then every year it changes, and there's different things that you focus on. I'm finding now that once he hit like 8, 9, and he's going to be 11 soon, I found that the more independent that he was able to become, the less of a kind of crazy roller coaster ride. I mean, it's going to be crazy in other aspects, right? As middle school and high school and all that other kind of stuff. But just for the, the ability to have a couple moments to kind of clear my mind, or if I needed to just, zone out for a minute, I found that could happen more than when they're younger. So it kind of goes back to your question of like,
When do you get off?
yeah, you don't get off, but should you take time? Yeah, but I think it really varies on the person. I think some people don't even think that they need time for themselves or time to figure some shit out, right? Because some people just either they don't care, or they're not self-aware, or they're not paying attention to that kind of thing. For those of us that do understand, like, okay, I definitely need something in the day to kind of recalibrate or get my mind right, then it's probably important for you to carve it out.
Your getaway typically tends to be like CrossFit from our conversations. And I find walking to be that for me. And so it's my moment to like recalibrate and have a little bit of me time in any given day. But I'm also, especially now when I'm transitioning into this new phase, right? I'm going to be very strict about the time that I put to work and be super efficient in that window of time. So I'm budgeting about 5 hours a day for me to like grind. But that 5 hours is going to be broken up. It's not going to be a consistent straight 5 hours. It's going to be like 2 hours here, maybe an hour there, and then another 2 hours somewhere else in the day. And for me, my mind will be sharper. My stress levels will be less, at least theoretically. I'm going to put this into practice now. And I'll be able to use those moments where I'm not on, work wise, to be able to like address my kids, whether it's fix them a quick meal or just kick it with them for a minute or what have you, take them to the park right quick, whatever it is. That's going to balance both the entrepreneurial thing for me and the father thing for me. And so I've tested it a few times and it works really well for me. So now I'm just going to apply it across the board. But like we talked about earlier, like not everybody has that flexibility, right? Like for the most part, we're pretty fortunate where we can plug and play as we see fit. I think it has a lot to do with knowing yourself too, right? So like something as simple as what part of the day are you most effective in doing certain things? Like for me, after 4 o'clock, I'm useless behind a computer trying to get work done. So how do I maximize that time? All right, what else can I be doing? And so I find things where I can be more productive, and then I bucket the rest of it toward the beginning of the day. And I think that goes a long way into helping you stress less. Because for me, my stress comes from not feeling like I have enough time to accomplish certain things. So setting realistic expectations for that day is one, and then also like knowing when in the day to go and do whatever it is the other. And that helps alleviate a whole lot of that for me.
So on one hand, it probably would feel nice to fall apart like after a while when all this shit happens. But if you can just come to what you have is just coming to grips with terms like, hey, it's kind of always going to be like this, at least for right now. That way the curveball isn't such a curve. It's just like, well, fuck, this sucks, but this is just what it is.
It's your mind state, your frame of mind, right? Like shit is going to be happening to you, for with you, around you all the time. So while when the dominoes stack and it's a lot of shit at the same time, it's overwhelming. But even at that moment, you have the opportunity to choose, right? Like, all right, I can't do it all. Not everything's going to happen right now. I got to drop some shit and apologize and then go to wherever is more important for you at that moment. Because the last thing that you can do, because again, it's like that analogy when you're on the airplane, right? Put your mask on first. Without you putting your shit on first and being okay, like none of the rest of the shit matters. So you got to kind of, and in the moment it's tough, bro. Like I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh no, it's mad easy, just do that, because you're overwhelmed. And I go through that shit every day. But you got to like come to some sort of like Zen moment, pull a fucking KGB and just be like, and float.
Or just be totally stressed out internally, and no one knows.
Yo, can I share real quick? Because it's something very related. Like, I think we might have talked about this a few times, but like, when our kids talk our ears off, right? And we're just not we're not ready. We're having a rough day or whatever it is, and we just not.
That's the worst.
It's
No,
there's no
you know what's
patience.
the worst? You know what the worst is when if they say after they're done talking and they say, "I'm sorry if I spoke, if I talked your
Oh,
ear off, or if you weren't really interested in that."
oh. Yeah, but that's how we showed up. We showed up uninterested and like, yo, hurry up, get to the point. I don't want to fucking hear this shit. And then you get that at the end and you want to fucking sever your wrists.
Right.
But I've been using that for me personally. I've been using that as practice. Like, I've just been literally to the point where I bleed, like just biting my lip and then just waiting for my son to like get out what he's trying to get out. And then like being as attentive as I possibly can be and engaging in the conversation. And then when I know he's come to the end of what he's saying, be like, all right, like, and I ask for more, I'm like, anything else? And I know he's spent, like he already got it all out. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, whatever. And then I try to give him pointers because my son has a tendency to like think, he doesn't think before he speaks. So it's a lot of, like that, oh, like this. And he goes into super granular detail when it's not necessary. So I'm like, yo, you could have just told me I walked across the street. No, he goes, I took 3 steps forward and then I turned around and then I raised my hand and then I did a stretch and then 4 more steps. Like, no, you just crossed the street, bro. That's all you did. So I try not to, I'm an asshole by nature, so it comes out, but he knows it's not like, I'm not like getting on his case. It's more just like, yo, bro, like,
well, it's better it's better that you're engaging than not. You know what I mean? So.
No, I know.
But before we get out of here on this topic, to close out this topic, Manny, do any of your kids, and maybe this is more so for your eldest, do they understand like the, let's call it, courage it takes to jump from, like a safety net of a regular paycheck to then, take a gamble and go for it on your own? Because that's something that's something if you share that with your kids that they hopefully could learn from, because it's not an easy task to do.
So I'm very open with my kids. I don't want them finding out shit about me or what my wife and I are doing from other people. So I told them,
Daddy, these pictures I just found.
So I told them the day that I gave notice at my old job, I told them, right? But the way it happened, it was like mad casual. Like normally, like we'll get together and like have like a family meeting type of shit. We were just all watching TV, and I was like, I took like a deep breath for a second. There was like a pause in the television, and I was like, guys, I just gave my 2-week notice. I'm not working at the company no more. Like, everybody, it was like a record scratch. My eldest,
Where's
saw
the Wi-Fi?
My eldest immediately started sweating. Like, she looked at me, her eyes huge. My youngest is like, nah, I don't know what that means, whatever. And then my son, he's like, why? Like, he was giving me the why. And then, I explained it. I told him like what the reason is, and they understand because they're around. Like, they know what FlyDad is, they know what fatherhood is, they know what my consulting stuff is. It's scary to them. It is, and I don't look at 9 to 5 as a secure thing, right?
It's not. It's not. I mean more of a secure of, at least like.
Right. I know what you mean.
A check's coming in 2 weeks, assuming you still have a gig, right?
Right.
But
versus you got to go kill what you eat, and it could be feast or famine depending on what's going on.
Right.
But I explained it to them, and I explained the risks associated and like what my backup plan is if shit hits the fan and that kind of thing. And I was like, look, worst case scenario, we live under the bridge, no Wi-Fi. And then they did lose their fucking shit. But like, my wife jumped in and she kind of explained why she's not bugging, and I think that helped a bunch because she was like, "Yo, look, we're good." Daddy always figures it out. We're always supportive. Like it'll work itself out.
Thank
And
God
so
for
of
these
course
wives, man.
when you hear that, like I'm like, yo, there's no way I'm gonna fail. So I'm thrilled. I'm not like fearful. I don't have a negative thought in my head. It's all like full steam ahead, and it's bearing fruit. Like I'm already like I'm a week into this new world, and a lot of really good conversations being had, and opportunities for more income than I probably have ever made from working less, which is the
Nice.
weirdest thing. But
Good
yeah,
shit. All right,
I
fatherhoods.
guess. All right. Talk to you later. Peace.